Hey Scott, what's going on? What do you see? What's the news on Oahu?
Well, should we talk about the short-term vacation
Yeah,
rentals?
hit it a little bit. Go ahead.
The only volcano that's going to happen over here on Oahu is probably my head exploding from this one. This, to me, this one, I sent you that email of this when it first came out, right? And it kind of summarized things. And I said, this is ridiculous. And then when they had the discussion down there, I did my testimony and stuff. And then they came back with some recommended revisions. And the whole concept of it for DPP, they said, hey, what was passed a few years ago is hard to enforce. It's actually not. It's very easy to enforce because they're forcing everyone, even if you're on Airbnb, VRBO, wherever you post it, they're requiring those sites to have your TMK, your parcel number, your license to be able to do that right there. So if you don't have it, you're going to get busted really easy. And so they came back and more or less what they're wanting to do is modify that. And this whole bill was very controversial to begin with. Now they've come back and said, hey, more or less, if you're not in resort zoning, we want all rentals to be 180 days minimum, where in residential and apartment zoning, some of the others you could do, it was 30 days minimum. Short-term vacation rentals were classified less than 30 days. So if you're down in the resort area, you can do 1, 2, 3, 5 nights. Residential had to be 30 days or more. They're trying to move it to 180 days. It didn't make sense because it's like, okay, well, what about people transitioning over here? Military transitioning over here. They need short-term housing before they're buying. Someone's selling their home. They need a rental for a few months before they buy. What about, government contractors that are here for 3-4 months? What happens to those people? You cause this real problem. So they had the discussion about it and they came back with it and they basically said, okay, here's the exceptions. Full-time students, full-time remote workers, military in transit, homeowners in transit, low-income renters that are on a shorter lease or whatnot. And I thought about it. I'm like, you talk about difficult to enforce. And here's the kicker. Prior to that approval, you're going to have to get approval from the Department of Planning and Permitting for this. So just do the basic math. 20 to 25% of this island's population is military or government related. They're transitioning people all the time. Full-time students, people moving over here who need temporary housing. We're talking people in the thousands. They can't even get permits through DPP in under a year for new construction and things. How are you going to handle this and get pre-approval for that? I mean, this is the epitome of stupid government at this point. It drives me absolutely nuts. And it has the hotel lobbyist written all over it.
Well, I hear you. By the way, DPP, everyone stands for Department of Planning and Permitting. These are the people that approve any kind of plans, etc. So you know what that means. Yeah, well, it's going to be a mess, dude. I'm with you 100%. I'm well aware of DPP's historically has been a horrific enforcement mechanism. When it was easy, they couldn't enforce anything. And
if this gets passed, it's going to be a train wreck. There's no way they're going to be able to do this. So that's my rant for this morning. It irritates me because it stinks to the hotel industry at that point, and there's no common sense to it. They've actually made this a more difficult thing to enforce rather than easier.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you know what we're